From cat pianos to human fish, vaudeville at its zaniest. As the curtain parted, the audience cast curious glances at the row of nervous alley cats standing side by side in their narrow boxes. The cats responded with their own questioning gazes as they peered out through the screen-covered ends. Then, suddenly, like a frantic bell ringer, a pianist stood behind them and began to pull their tails, which dangled down behind the row of cages. Without hesitation, the otherwise ordinary cats were miraculously transformed into a synchronized feline music machine and began to meow out a song in perfect pitch. Hard to believe? Highly implausible? Downright incredible? Well, maybe just a little, but that's all right. It was vaudeville. The other performers probably chuckled at the audience reaction as the maestro pulled on the artificial cattails and secretly did cat imitations. The cat piano, like so many other one-of-a-kind acts, has taken its place as a memory of an age of raw, uninhibited entertainment. It was a period when performers laughed at hard times but took their comedy very seriously. Throughout the glory years of vaudeville from the 1800s into the 1930s, thousands of acts walked out on the stage. Some left to the thunderous applause of appreciative audiences. Others ducked tomatoes and hoped the hook wouldn't sweep them away before they finished. Most people remember the big names when they think of vaudeville: Eddie Cantor, Fanny Brice, Al Jolson, Jimmy Durante, Jack Benny, Bob Hope, George Burns, and a nearly unending list of entertainment legends cut their teeth in vaudeville theaters. Their stories have been documented in numerous books and movies, and we've all marveled at how such great talents took root in such humble soil. But what about the not-so-legendary acts? What about the egg dancers, Flurry, or Blatz the human fish? They deserve their place in history, too. Some of the most innovative acts in vaudeville were created as afterpieces, meant to be shrunk or stretched to fill the space between the main entertainers. These acts also sometimes stretch the outer boundaries of imagination. The human fish, for example, was an act performed by a man named Blatz. He would completely submerge himself in a tank of water on stage and begin to slowly eat a banana. When he was through with his snack, he would entertain himself by playing a slide trombone. Following his meal and music, he would read a newspaper and then curl up for a nap. According to his contemporaries, he had no hidden air hose, but could simply hold his breath for an extremely long time. The human fish likely didn't have much competition from similar acts. Then there was Flurry. Flurry was an old English character who would dance around the stage in a Turkish costume. Near the finale of his act, he would toss up his cape and expose his stomach. On his chest were painted 2 eyes and a nose. His navel was painted like a puckered mouth, and as he flexed his stomach muscles, he could make faces at the audience. Hernandez was a peculiar-looking performer who, judging from the description of his act, might have been a hit in a modern-day rock music video. He painted his face black, dressed in black tights, and wore a wig that came to a point. He played guitar, and as he played, he would perform all sorts of strange contortions. When he played a musical run, for instance, he would appear to extend his neck nearly a foot, and then let it slowly sink back into his shoulders. Pointed wigs were also used in a dance number appropriately called A Study in Points. 2 men and a woman appeared on stage, and the men had long pointed eyebrows, earlobes, noses, mustaches, and goatees. Even their collars, lapels, and coat tails had long extended points. To top it off, they wore long pointed shoes. They would perform a dance style called leg mania, which emphasized high kicking and splits. As they made their entrance, the men would gracefully lift their legs completely over the lady in rhythm to the music. Dances were a popular type of afterpiece since they were easily lengthened or shortened. The transformation dance was an eye-catching number that used wires called strip strings. A lady, for example, might come on stage marching in a full military uniform. Someone behind the stage would then pull one of the strings attached to a layer of her uniform, and she would transform into an Irish washerwoman dancing a jig. Then with another pull, she was in a short skirt doing a skipping rope dance. A dancer named Kitty O'Neill perfected a dance called the sand jig in the late 1800s. She would walk on stage carrying a cornucopia holding about a pint of sand and sprinkle it near the front of the stage. Then she would dance a jig with shuffles and slides, all on the balls of her feet. As the dancers became popular, they looked around for other props to add a little variety to their act. For an egg dance, the dancer would gingerly dance among about 20 eggs, taking care not to break them. At the end of the bit, the dancer would usually break a couple of eggs to show they were real. A spade dance was performed with a piece of hardwood formed to look like an old-fashioned spade. The dancer would stand on the blade, hold the handle with both hands, and hop around the stage to the rhythm of the music. For the finale, he or she would usually hop over hurdles, rows of bottles, or lighted candles. Golden and Drayton did an old-time rhythm bit called Patting Rabbit Hash. During a rendition of Turkey in the Straw, Golden would accompany the music by patting and slapping his hands on his knees, hips, elbows, shoulders, and forearms to create a triple-time rhythm that sounded almost like a snare drum. Sadly, like many other forms of our country's early entertainment, vaudeville would fade into the history books. One by one, the tired troopers tucked away their baggy pants and fright wigs into their road-worn trunks for the last time. As they did, they stored something else along with them. Packed in and among the seltzer bottles and rubber noses was a raw, untamed quality that would not be allowed in the polished, well-rehearsed performances that would follow. Today, traveling theater groups or musicians would cringe at the thought of providing the type of hokey, amateurish acts that vaudeville often gave us. When we sit down to watch a touring ballet company or a finely tuned symphony orchestra, we know that we will experience a near-perfect performance. Still, isn't there some lingering childlike part of us that yearns to see the prima donna hop in a water tank and play a trombone, or the maestro suddenly jerk up his shirt and make his navel sing a song?